Hey, good morning, Jacques. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm talking to Garth Brooks.
Entering his second year as the LSU head football coach.
It was the only way I could get a foot in the door.
Joined by the icon, Kim Mulkey. Hey, Coach, great to see you.
Well, we're in the home of a Louisiana football. Is legend too strong?
Look,
I'd go with it.
I hadn't played in over a decade. Sure, let's use that, right?
Jake Delhomme, his hair is still dark. You turned 50, right?
I'm 50, yeah. I quit throwing interceptions, man. I had some grays. I stopped playing. The interceptions stopped. No more grays.
Well, thanks for having us. Good seeing you.
Man. Good seeing you.
Yeah. So my little piddly career, 1998, I started a public access show, live television, my first taste of live television, and Jake Delhomme was our first ever guest. He was like the 10th string quarterback on the Saints at the time.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And you stuck with it. Long NFL career, played in the Super Bowl, made the Pro Bowl, and living comfortably now.
Things are good, man. Listen, I guess I lived every kid's dream, so to speak. Someone from South Louisiana, I think we all know how we love football, right? I mean, football is it's religion down here. And the same thing for me and my family. I had an older brother who played football at McNeese. So I traveled the Southland Conference when I was 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade. And then my junior and senior year, I would do the recruiting trips. And so was able to I stayed on to play at USL, as I'm showing my age. It's University of Louisiana.
The artist formerly known as USL.
Exactly right. And it was close. I got offered by everybody in state except LSU, and I got recruited hard until like late December. But I mean, at the time, I guess the Eagles bruised, but Jamie Howard was a true freshman at the time and did okay that season. And then Josh Booty was a junior in high school, and they thought they had an in with Josh Booty. So, and I was the single A quarterback from Turlings Catholic, and thought I was going to go to Tulane. And the last minute, I decided to stay home to play for USL. Coach Nelson Stokeley, but Louis Cook was the offensive coordinator, and best decision ever made.
Louis Cook is still at Notre Dame of Crowley, right? Still coaching?
Yeah, still at Notre Dame, and just absolute legend.
Yeah. And I call them the Ragin Cajuns as much as possible, just to stay away from that whole name thing that's been going on for the last 20 years or whatever, 25 years.
Well, we're unique. The Ragin Cajuns, there's no other
Bingo.
nickname in the world besides the Ragin Cajuns. And so many people, when I have to travel now or whatnot, it was USL at that time with the Ragin Cajuns. So I know exactly who that is.
Well, and then back in the day, wasn't it like the Southwestern school, SLI?
SLI early on.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I told you exactly what that meant. And then University of Southwestern Louisiana, and then it changed. After I had finished, it went to the Louisiana system.
Bulldogs.
Yes.
Originally.
Correct.
Was it 83 or something they changed the name to Cajuns? Anyway, I didn't plan on talking to you about that. I do want to talk to you about this. So next year is the year 2026. I'm not great at math. At USL, I think it took me 2 or 3 times to get out of algebra.
There you go.
And then statistics. But so covering LSU baseball, I think, okay, next year is the 30-year anniversary of Warren Morris hitting the home run. And it's also the 30-year anniversary of the Cajuns beating Texas A&M at Cajun Field.
That's right.
Despite all the recent success, I would still say that is the biggest win in school history. And you were the quarterback that night.
Yeah, it probably was just through the sheer fact of it was in Lafayette. How those deals worked way back when. You played only 11 games. It wasn't like you had 12, 13, 14 games. It was 11 games, and a lot of the games early in the season were money games, to be quite honest. And so I opened up the season. You play A&M, you played Florida, you played those big money games. That was kind of the deal. And so A&M, there was whatever it is. I think the Cajuns went to College Station like 5 times, and they had to return the favor. Oklahoma State did that. Alabama had done that here. And so, yeah, they came in, and it was a good night. It was a hot night. It was a good night. Thank God our defense showed up. And thank goodness Texas A&M kept on wanting to throw the football because their quarterback was struggling, and they kept throwing it.
Yeah.
And it helped us out.
3 defensive touchdowns,
That's
right?
correct, yeah. And we would just try not to lose it because it was the wrecking crew. I mean, it was that defense. Almost, I think every single one of those players on defense played in the NFL, and it was they were tough.
They turned the ball over, was it 8 times?
6, 7, 8 times somewhere. Yeah, and once we got the lead, it was just, okay, keep away. Don't.
Yeah.
Because, listen, one, they were hard to kind of maneuver the ball against.
Right.
They had trouble covering one person, Brandon Stokeley, who people had trouble covering for 20 years. But other than that, it was a good night, fun night.
Yeah, you threw him a 2-point conversion that night. Stokeley. I think that's right.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, get a life, Jacques. I remember things like this. But, yeah, 3 defensive touchdowns, the turnovers, tore down the goalpost that night, carried them to the strip.
Correct.
The one thing that I'd like to change about the school is the stadium being on campus and everything's kind of separated.
Sure.
But it was a long haul to bring those goalposts all the way down to the keg or wherever they went.
Yeah, it was a long haul. I'm not exactly sure who brought them, but I think all the 38,000 that were in there that night, and it set 31.
Yeah.
They were lubed up. Let's just say that they were lubed up. It was it's always good playing that night.
I was a Sigma Nu back then, and I remember a lot of the frat guys would tailgate, they would get drunk, but they would not go in the stadium. And that night, I was like, guys, we got to go inside because this is not going to happen again. Texas A&M's not coming back here, and they haven't come back.
No.
But and I remember the front cover of the advertiser, Swamped. In big block letters.
Right.
Who's the linebacker? Brennan?
Pat Brennan.
Pat Brennan.
Yep.
Big guy.
Yep.
Didn't want to pick a fight with that dude. And Nelson Stokeley, the head coach, the late Nelson Stokeley.
Correct.
Good guy, good man.
Yeah, Nelson was a quiet man. You know, quarterback at LSU, offensive coordinator at Clemson when they won it all in the early 80s with Danny Ford, the head coach. And Nelson was a head coach here, I believe, for 13 years. And at that time, he left as the winningest coach. And so Nelson, good guy, quiet guy, intense competitor. And it's funny, DNA is it's a real thing because his son, Brandon Stokeley, was probably the most intense competitor I've ever been around in my life.
Well, Brandon is an amazing story because Brandon wanted to play basketball. And I think he goes out for football finally his senior year at Como High School and catches 80 passes, I think, or something like that.
It might have been more. I think he led the state. And Como was a 5A school, and I think he might have led the state in receptions that year. And I promise you he weighed 140 pounds, 145 pounds.
He was, yeah, we were about the same size, although he had a lot more athletic ability. Reggie Flugent, shout out to him, Como High School quarterback who got him the ball that year. But then he goes, and then he was still trying to do basketball.
Yeah, he, everyone thought that the scholarship offer was a daddy type of deal at USL. And that summer when we'd go and throw, everyone knew, yeah, he's better than every one of our receivers. And he was starting to grow and mature, so he was probably 160 pounds. And he was going to redshirt. And back then, you could not play in a game.
Right,
Your redshirt would be burned. And so he traveled and dressed for 6 weeks until basketball season started. And, I wasn't happy about that because he was our best receiver. He really and truly was our best receiver. But he did basketball for the 1 year, and then the next year, he led the NCAA in receptions.
Yeah, he didn't play at all as a freshman.
No.
He was sitting on my couch in Maurice, Louisiana, watching the Cajuns play basketball on TV. They had an early national televised game, I remember, and he was bummed out they didn't take him on the trip, and he wanted to be on the basketball team. But then that second year, was there a game early where he caught like 6 or 7 balls or something?
Yeah, he caught. It was either week 2 or week 3 because he really and truly didn't start. And you got to give Coach Stokeley credit. He wasn't just going to start him. And everyone knew he was the number 1 guy. And so, but no, he started the junior and he started the sophomore, the guys in front of him. And then I can't remember exactly who we were playing. Might have been Memphis. And he just got in the game and you just knew. I
had a class with a girl, and I brought up Stokeley's name, and she's like, he's trying to take my boyfriend's spot. And I don't know who the boyfriend is or whatever, but it proved who the guy was. I mean, how many years in the league for Brandon? 13?
Oh, no, I think it was 15-ish, 16-ish. It was a while.
Yeah, and the same amount of concussions, I think, too.
He had a bunch. He had a bunch. And, he's still that same competitor. He has a radio show in Denver.
Yeah.
And it's every day, and it's all Denver Broncos. And he is feisty. He's not afraid. I mean, he calls it out. He sees it, and he's good at what he does.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back.
No.
What made you two special? Did you have a connection? Did you know what he was doing before he did it?
It was, I think it just happened. I wore my heart on my sleeve. I'd like to think I was a fierce competitor. I think he was the same way. And we cared about one thing and one thing only, and that was winning. And so there was a knack. He was very good. He knew how to find holes in defense and things of that nature. And we saw the game, for whatever reason, a lot of the same way. And it worked, and it clicked, and we were two little whiny babies, and we held each other accountable. But I think we made everyone else kind of follow along, because even though it was practice, it didn't matter. Like, we'd play softball in the off season, rec softball. We played basketball at Bourgeois Hall. It was intense.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to play something, you might as well try to play to win.
Jake and Bake. That was the poster going into 1996.
That's right.
Right, that was on campus and everything.
Correct. Yeah.
A great pass catch combination. Your career, I was looking at your statistics. Your sophomore year was not great.
No, freshman year was good, but I had security blankets my freshman year. 2 fifth-year senior tight ends, 2 fifth-year senior wide receivers.
Yeah.
The next year, everybody was brand new.
Yeah.
And it took a while for us to kind of get together.
Yeah, and then your last 2 years, you threw 20 touchdowns each year, which at the time was a lot.
That was a lot. We threw it a lot. Our senior year was difficult. We had a good football team. We beat A&M, but we became an independent again. And we were in the Big West Conference. Imagine that. Way back when, 93, 94, 95. And so that kind of disbanded, and we played 6 or 7 bowl teams that year. And it wasn't just back then. I guess you could say the bottom barrel of the bowl games was the Independence Bowl. I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
And so from Virginia Tech to Houston that year with 92 won Conference USA, Florida won the national championship, Texas A&M. We had a nice schedule.
Well, yeah, and I was talking to Coach Delhomme about this. For the longest time, the only bowl game the Cajuns had ever played in was the Grantland Rice Bowl in the late 70s, which was in Baton Rouge at Memorial Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. I think you won 8 games one year and didn't play in a bowl.
Our freshman year, I kid you not, we were 8-3. We were co-champions of the Big West with Utah State. And it was a tiebreaker, and we lost it. It was a tiebreaker. Whatever the reason, we did not play in the Las Vegas Bowl.
And that's where you would have gone.
That's where we would have gone. Nowadays, we had more votes our freshman year in the top 25 than in Michigan and things like that. You know, it was just one of those. But hey, it happened.
Yeah, well, now they play too many bowl games.
They play too many. I would have loved to at least participate in one. That would have been kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, that's Nelson Stokeley many times won 6, 7 games, and there was never any postseason for them. And looking at your career, and I was talking to you about this off camera. So, I grew up on Brian Mitchell in the late 80s. You're there in today's game. Does Brian Mitchell stay in Lafayette for 4 years? Does Jake Delhomme stay in Lafayette for 4 years because an SEC team is going to throw you a lot of money?
That's a great question. And honestly, I can't answer that. My parents both worked for the state. So it wasn't like I had a rich home because how I was raised. But financially, my parents, they had to work. And things like that. So, I started all 4 years. If I get thrown a crazy amount of money, would I have left? That's a tough question. I'm a loyal person, and it would have been hard for me to leave a program. But, Robert Hunt, lineman from UL, second-round pick of the Dolphins. The Panthers paid him $80 million last year. Made his first Pro Bowl, one of the dominant guards in the NFL. We talked about that this year. I do the radio for the Panthers. So he and we see each other every weekend. And I asked him about that. I said, hey, how would it have been? He was like, Jake, I grew up very, very poor in Texas. He goes, I would have had to take the money just for my family. And really and truly, and some of the money that gets thrown around. And sometimes it's not, but guys got to go for the money, and I get it. I get it. But there's something to me, maybe I'm old school. There's something about
commitment,
I believe
teammates.
Look, it is what it is.
I think of Brett Favre at Southern Miss.
Correct. Yeah.
What would have happened there?
Could you have imagined how much money he would have gotten paid?
Yeah. Because we're in Louisiana. We have a lot of great football players here, and even we have a lot of 3-stars that can go play for the Cajuns and load up there. But Blake Dean, LSU baseball player, became the head coach at UNO.
Right.
He goes, I had the Southland Conference Hitter of the Year 3 years in a row and lost them 3 years in a row because somebody would come pluck them. So
listen, it is what it is. You think about it. Deshaun King play at Tulane the year they go undefeated? I don't know. I mean, Sean was a good player as a junior in college.
Yeah.
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 And Tulane lost their quarterback this year. Duke pays him $8 million, right, to leave. It's tough.
Right. And it might be the only time you get paid.
Yeah.
You may not get drafted.
Correct.
You may not
Right.
get
You never know what's going to happen.
Right. So after your career with the Cajuns, you signed as a free agent.
Correct.
And I remember this because I think it was one of my first days interning at TV10 with Kevin Cantrell,
Yeah.
baseball player.
Correct.
We went down, and he had gotten wind that you were hanging out or something down at the football complex, and we went and got a soundbite with you. And the interns really came through that day for Mike Roebuck because we got the soundbite with Jake Delhomme. He had just signed with the Saints.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but I looked up. I think you threw like 90 passes for the Saints total.
Not many.
Yeah.
And honestly, so that was 1997. I was an afterthought. I was a fourth arm.
Yeah.
Jim Everett was the starting quarterback for the Saints.
That's right.
Mike Ditka gets hired, and they released Jim maybe not long after the draft. They had signed Heath Schuler, drafted Danny Werfel. They had a guy they inherited going into his fourth year by the name of Doug Nussmeier. Now the Saints offensive coordinator and father of Garrett Nussmeier. And after they released Everett, they signed me. So that was the four guys that went to training camp my rookie year.
Right. And so eventually, at the end of this god-awful 1999 season, which Eddie Kinnison is a neighbor of mine, lives in the neighborhood
Right.
with me. He runs our coffee shop up front. And I was talking, I said, before I left today, I said, you know Jake Delhomme? Oh, yeah. I was teammates with him.
He caught my first NFL touchdown pass.
There you go.
Kinnison. We were 2-12 with the Saints. That was my third year out of college. We were playing the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Eve, which was a Friday, only show in town.
Huge audience.
And they were going to start me. A short week because Billy Joe Tolliver got hurt the week prior in Baltimore. Danny Werfel, Billy Joe Hobart, they had kind of played, and just things weren't going the best for us, and so I get a chance, and was able my first touchdown pass to Eddie Kinnison down the right sideline.
And you win the game.
We were able to beat Dallas, and so
Troy Aikman and all that.
Aikman, Deion Sanders, Darren Woodson, all that bunch, and
Emmett.
that was Christmas Eve. We beat them, and Ditka and staff get fired. Jim Haslett comes in, Randy Mueller, that bunch, and so I had to kind of start all over. But a funny thing about that, 2 months after that, I'm married. My wife and I get married, and we're on our honeymoon in Jamaica. And somebody brings me a beer, and he gives it to me. And he was like, hey, just want to thank you. I said, okay, for what? He said, you helped get Chan Gailey fired with the Cowboys. and he kind of high-fived me, and I was like, wow, that's pretty funny.
It wasn't a Saints fan.
No, it was not. It was a Dallas fan that was happy that Chan Gailey was fired. So
oh, man.
That right then and there, you knew the power of the NFL, and especially the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. I remember I was at KLAX TV watching it on a small TV. Jake Delhomme gets his shot, right, and it. Chris Berman called you bad to the bone. Jake Delhomme, that was your nickname?
Something like that. It was a good night, man. It was a good night. It was one of those memories you'll remember forever.
So in 2000, that is Jeff Blake and then Aaron Brooks?
Yeah, Jeff Blake. It was Jeff Blake. We drafted Mark Bulger of the Rams fame. In the 6th round, they had Billy Joe Tolliver and myself. And after the first preseason game, we traded a 2nd-round pick to Green Bay for Aaron Brooks. So right then and there, you knew Jeff Blake's a starter. You knew Aaron Brooks was making it. They just gave up a 2nd-round pick. And I have to give Jim Haslett credit. We were in Jacksonville practicing against the Jaguars. And he sat us down, and the quarterbacks, me and Billy Joe Tolliver and Mark Bulger. Blake, he was secure. And he goes, hey, just want to let y'all know we just traded for Aaron Brooks. We gave up a 2nd-round pick. He's going to be here. And he looked at me and he goes like, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. He's talking to me. He goes, we didn't think you'd play the way you did the other night. We played the Jets in the preseason, and I played the 2nd and 3rd quarter, and I was going to get exposed in essence. And things went well for me that night. He goes, we didn't know that was going to happen. He said, just keep grinding away. And that's what I did. But I was more lucky. Mike McCarthy was the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So I had Mike McCarthy for 3 years, and that opened my eyes to what the NFL was about. And I was just, even to this day, and I still talk to Mike, he's one of the main reasons.
So you don't play at all in 2000. Jeff Blake gets the team off to a great start. He breaks his foot against the Raiders.
Liz Frank injury against the Raiders, and Aaron Brooks comes in. And the next week we go to St. Louis, beat the defending world champs, and Aaron Brooks puts on a show.
That's right. And I was just this kid in the locker room after they lost that Raiders game, and Joe Horn, I said, where do you go from here? Where do we go from here? We go to St. Louis to play the Rams. and they were a huge underdog, and you guys were a huge underdog, won that game. And Aaron, so in 2001, you don't play at all that year.
Right.
2002 is where, okay, their Saints are 9-4.
Correct.
3 games left. Just need to win 1 to go to the playoffs. Playing teams that aren't that great, honestly. Aaron's hurt, right?
Torn labrum.
But he's still playing.
Still playing, yeah.
And I guess Jim Haslett is petrified
You're right.
that if I put in the Louisiana kid
Right.
and he does well
Yeah.
and the fans get behind him, I've got what I don't want, a quarterback controversy.
Correct.
And so you never played.
No, it was later in that season, and we're playing Tampa, who won the Super Bowl that year. We're playing on a Sunday night game in the Superdome. And game's tight, and it was late in the game, and Aaron's shoulder kind of started bothering him. And so they put me in, and we need 1 first down, and game's over. But Tampa had the timeouts, and so sure enough, run play. It's 3rd down. Tampa has 1 timeout left, and it wasn't like 3rd and 2, whatever it was. It was going to be difficult.
Yeah.
And I remember Mike McCarthy sending in the play, and it was 93 lead, Z keep. And the key is I had the option to pick it up and throw it out to Joe Horn if they're off. And we always took that off late in the game because you're trying to run the clock. You don't want an incomplete pass. And I remember him calling the play, and I looked to the sideline because I had to do a quarterback test sheet every week. That was something I was in charge of. And so, always in the notes, it was situational football. Under 4 minutes, we have the lead, all keys come off. You know what I mean? Like things like that. And so I looked at him, and right when I looked at him, he was staring at me. And through the quarterback coach communication system, it was like, I'm trusting you. And so that was a big moment. Sure enough, they load up in the box. It's wide open. It's going to be there. And I do the half little fake. I throw it to Joe. He catches it. We win, and it was huge. And I'll never forget after the game, our quarterback coach, Mike Shepard, he said that was a $500,000 throw. And I'm like, he was wide open. He goes, you don't understand. To make it, to see it, to do it in that situation, he goes, I'm just telling you. And so it was awesome. So I was able to play just that little bit, and we were struggling as a team because we started out so well. We needed 1 more win, and then they played me in Baltimore the following week or so on a Sunday night. It was cold. We had the lead, but I played a good amount, late 3rd, 4th, and things went well that night. And so I think fans were clamoring because they never came out and say Aaron was hurt, but everybody knew he was hurt.
Yeah.
One of those situations. And lo and behold, we play the Panthers the last game. We lose 10-6 or 10-9 in the Superdome, and they're chanting, we want Jake, we want Jake. And that was hard, because we're trying to go to the playoffs, and, it was one of those deals, and lo and behold, I was going to Carolina.
Well, I remember it was yesterday or whatever, they put these new jerseys out, these mustard kind of, and my brain triggered 2002. That was when Dante Culpepper dropped the ball, double dribbled, and ran into 2-point conversion. The Vikings, who were not good, beat the Saints in the Dome.
Correct.
That was one of those 3 losses. Cleveland, y'all lost to Cleveland in Cleveland?
Well, you got a good memory.
Well,
I like it.
they had some goofy fullback who scored like twice against y'all or something. But that was the fork in the road with kind of you and Aaron Brooks and Haslett and.
Yeah, we had some games to win. We went to Cincinnati, bad football team. They were, at the cellar every year, and we lost in Cincinnati, just ugly game. Things like that. And then Carolina, division rival. But that was a talented Carolina team that was, and the next year we go to the play, is what it is.
Aaron Brooks, some people, he gets mislabeled. Like some people say, that guy sucked. He was terrible. He wasn't. It was just. It was this.
Right.
It was 4 touchdowns, no interceptions 1 week. Saints win. We all get excited. Next week, it's not that, So, and that was kind of the epitome of who the Saints were under Haslett. 8-8. Good, bad. Good, bad.
Yeah. I always felt, because I just didn't know, but when I went to Carolina, in 2003, we went to the Super Bowl, and then 2 years later, we NFC Championship game. So, talent, I know what a good team should look like. And I always felt we had a team in New Orleans. We had one of those teams in New Orleans. I truly believe that. From the Willie Roves to the Kyle Turleys to the Chris Naolis, we
Deuce.
had an offensive line. Yeah, Deuce. Joe Horn was unstoppable for a few years. Now I just felt, gosh, we had that team.
Yeah. And you've told me before you were just warming up the number 9 for Drew.
That's no doubt. I was warming up the number 9. I was a double-digit guy. I always thought, numbers, and but when you're young and you're undrafted and they give you a number, you say thank you, and you don't ask. And so I waited a few years. Then I asked the equipment manager.
Well, Wikipedia told me that 17 meant a lot.
It did in Carolina. I wanted to be 12. Another quarterback had it. I wanted to be 16. I wore that in the NFL Europe. Chris Winkie had 16. And so my daughter was born on the 17th. Things of that nature, so we went with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you joined Carolina.
Right.
And I was talking to your wife about this. So in 2005, the Saints get Katrina hits. It's terrible. They're having an awful year. They're playing games in San Antonio. They're playing games in Tiger Stadium. So on a whim on a Sunday, it's a noon kickoff in Tiger Stadium. It might be the regular season finale.
It was late in the season. No, I don't think it was a finale.
Maybe second to last.
It was late. It was in December. I know that.
So we buy tickets to go see the Saints play the Carolina Panthers. And we're up in the north end zone where the student section is, basically, for LSU games. For $15 or something we get in. They're firing off pyrotechnics in the daytime, which looks stupid. It's just like white smoke. And I think Aaron Brooks spoke out against the Saints or something. So Benson gets mad. They play Todd Bauman.
Todd Bauman. Right.
And you're the starter for the Panthers. And I remember you ran it in the end zone and you spiked it. And it was just there's
no way you stayed up there because there was, I promise you made your way down because there was not that many people in the stadium that day. So you could make your way down. Yeah, no, that was it was always emotional for me playing the Saints. And that was that, I guess, they didn't think I was good enough. They wanted to go with somebody else. So I always had that. And I'm playing 45 minutes from where I live, ton of family and friends there at the game. You want to make sure you play well.
Yeah. Well, it was rock bottom. If you're in the same, there's Jake Delhomme tearing us up. We got Todd Bauman starting. We're 2-12 or whatever it was at that point.
It was a rough season. I couldn't imagine. That team having to leave and what they had to go through. But it was a.
Well, this is how things change in 1 year because I remember leaving one of those Tiger Stadium games. Tom Benson hits Lee Zurich's camera, I think, WWL.
Really?
He's mad. They're shooting him. You're a prick. That's what you are. And he hits the camera, and everyone's they hate Tom Benson. He's trying to move the team to San Antonio. Then the next year, they get Drew Brees. They get Sean Payton. They get Reggie Bush. And they're in a playoff game against the Eagles at home, and Tom Benson's out in a limo waving at the fans, and they're all loving him. So that's how it changes like that. So
it changes very quick because I will say this. In 2000, I'm with the Saints. We started out 1-2. I'm almost positive. And we're playing the Philadelphia Eagles at home. And back then, if the game was not a sellout, it was going to be blacked out in the local market. So they needed a few more thousand tickets to be sold to get the sellout. Well, they offered the players discounted tickets $6 or $8 a ticket. So Willie Rove bought, 1,000 tickets for some high school football, a bunch of high school kids. Guys started doing that. I bought 50 tickets, I called my high school coach at the time, Sonny Chapon, he brought a bunch of the football team. And then fast forward 2 months later, you can't get a ticket into the Dome. We win the NFC, it was the NFC South or West. I don't remember what it was called back then.
Yeah.
And we have a playoff game. We beat the defending, Super Bowl champs at home, St. Louis Rams, and it's pandemonium.
That's right. Well, it used to be Energy. Energy bought the final 2,000 tickets or 3,000 to avoid the black.
Right.
Now, we grew up in Lafayette, so that wasn't a thing here.
Right.
We weren't in the perimeter.
Correct.
But Baton Rouge was. And I'd hear those stories. So, all right, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How often do you think about that? That you were that close, or are you just, hey, I'm just a Tom Brady victim, and you take pride in that?
I think about it a decent amount. You know, I have such great memories of the NFL. I really and truly do. And anytime I talk to my buddies or even some that I might be coaching in the NFL, or I'm an NFL junkie. I'm a sports junkie, but I love the NFL. And so certainly when it comes around Super Bowl time and playoff time, I don't want to say I relive those moments, but I think about the memories of those games, the home playoff victories or the road playoff victories, and getting back. I remember those times. And certainly the Super Bowl was a magical time. Playing in Houston, I was able to secure a lot of tickets for the game. They weren't cheap, but I was able to secure many. And I had a ton of family and friends that were able to go. And yeah, listen, it was a great time. It was a blur. And, we came up Tom Brady and drive, and Adam Vinatieri kicked short.
You couldn't have played much better, though, right?
You know what? We played pretty well. That team, if you go back, Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady yet. They had won one Super Bowl.
Right.
They beat St. Louis.
It was a low-scoring game.
And they were known for their defense. And that year, they were known for their defense. Like, in that game, we had the most points they had given up all season, the most yards, most passing yards, longest rush. I mean, they were unbelievable. All the Hall of Fame lineup, and I think I started out the game 1 for 9. We couldn't run the ball. I mean, it was just one of those, and we just kind of chipped away in typical fashion of how we played that year, and made a run right before the second half, and then made a run in the fourth quarter. You know, so yeah, it was fun. It was. I can vividly. I can go back to that week immediately. Every day, what we did, how we did it. It was awesome. You know, it's something that's kind of always would be kind of etched in my memory.
Did you sleep the night before?
And I tell people that, and they think I'm crazy. I always slept well before games. I was very lucky. I prepared well. I tried to prepare hard. The hay's in the barn, you sleep well. One game in my life, I did not sleep, and that was the first time we played the Saints when I was in Carolina. I couldn't. We're playing the Saints. And so but other than that, the Super Bowl, we went out about 45 minutes southwest of Houston in a small little ranch type area, the players. We got away. Family didn't know where we were going. And everybody felt the same way. It was just quiet, and we,
Yeah.
I slept good.
So the first time you played the Saints, you had a linebacker's mentality, kind of. You were full of P and V.
It was just, it was one of those, because we were 3-0. That was our fourth game, and yeah, it just, inside I loved those teammates. I had a lot of good friends on that team. And they pulled for me, just the way they were during the game and after the game, and then even some of the coaches, the equipment managers. It's just one of those. It's an ego game. We have big egos, and hey, you didn't think I was good enough to be your quarterback. I'm going to show you. I mean, that was my mindset.
Yeah. The Super Bowl, all the media stuff and everything that week, how did you, that was nothing.
It's not nearly what it is now. We had the media day on Tuesday. It's not media night. You know what I mean? And we're in a hotel.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I had some event I went to on the Friday night. But I'm in a hotel. We're kind of sheltered off.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it was.
This is me because I'm just stupid, but I would be worried I'm going to get sick or I'm going to eat something or what's going to happen to me between now and Sunday that's going to prevent me from playing in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, we were and all those teams that go far, they'll all tell you there's something special about that group because there's a chemistry. And I never forget, I don't know if you recall the milk mustaches.
Oh, yeah, that was the big thing,
And so I had done that the week prior in Charlotte. And so it was going to be Teddy Bruschi and I. So I get up. I get up to breakfast the next one of the mornings, and sure enough, I walk into the meal room, and it is plastered everywhere. And it was just, I got teased about, but that's just kind of how we were. You know what I mean? You remember those type of things. But I never worried about anything else. I was more worried about their defense. I mean, that's what we needed to worry about. I'm watching film on the Wednesday night, and I get a phone call, and it was Peyton Manning. And we go back to high school, and they had I think they lost the week prior to the Patriots, and he was like, hey, just calling to wish you luck. And I said, can you give me anything? You know what I mean? That's what it was. It's just any little tip and things like that. It's it's the Super Bowl. It's the pinnacle. It's what you play for.
Right. And there's the whole. I mean, you had a great career, but it was the only time you played in one.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
you think you can always get back, right? And then the next year, we started out 1-7, won the Super Bowl the year before, and then in 2005 we lost in the championship game to Seattle, and we got dump trucked in Seattle. I mean, they were just better than us. We got hot late, but that was it.
Yeah. Well, Marino's the ultimate case, right? He goes
Correct.
right away, and he never goes back.
Yeah.
So you just don't know.
That's why I have so much respect for Mahomes and for Brady. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, Drew only played in one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
so much has to go right, and that year for the Saints, everything fell into place, and then after that, it was like they were voodoo or jinxed or whatever, crazy
I
stuff.
talked about it this week with someone. They were talking about, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, and I'm like, they've got a chance. You don't know. Look at Brett Favre in Minnesota. I said, they should have been in the Super Bowl. If he doesn't throw the ball back across his body, they're kicking a field goal to go to the Super Bowl. The Saints pick it off, and then they go to overtime. I mean, if he doesn't do that,
right.
they're in field goal range. And that was a great football team, that Minnesota team.
Yeah. Jake, I think there's only been one time in my career of doing this stuff where I was actually shaking. I was so nervous, and I think it was that night, 2009.
Oh, really?
NFC Championship game. This building is full of Saints fans. They've been waiting since 1967 for this to happen, and Garrett Hartley goes out to kick that ball. I'm like, if it was me, I couldn't even walk out there. I mean, just knowing the weight of all these years is on this kick to go to the Super Bowl finally, and they go. But where am I going from there? And on the other side, the Super Bowl you played in, Kevin Fawkes for the Patriots.
Yep.
Brian Kinchin.
Correct. They signed him late in the year.
Yeah. He was teaching school or something.
Yeah. And he was a Panther. He had played for years for Carolina Panthers. Brian Kinchin did. And it's such a small world. His wife, Lori, graduated with my brother from Turling's Catholic. So I've been knowing his wife since I was a child. I mean, it's such a small world.
Yeah, he snaps the ball
Correct.
on the Super Bowl to kick the field goal at the
Ken
end.
Walter. I think that's who that was, the holder.
Yeah, and he's like, I think he wrote a book on it or something. I think the deep snap or something. Anyway, but he's like, nobody knows who I am, but if I would have botched this snap,
100%.
everybody would have known who I am.
I mean, that's
football.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Let's move into the current. So, Nussmeier.
Yeah.
So, the Nussmeiers.
Right.
Doug, your teammate with the Saints now, now he's going to be coaching there. What do you think about him joining the Saints now?
Listen, huge fan of Doug. One, as a person, I think he's done a great job as a coach, and stayed in touch with him over the years, from being teammates in New Orleans, and then throughout the course of time. And Doug is from the NFL to college, and I think they have a good relationship, him and Kellen Moore, from Dallas, and then the Chargers, and then Philly, and then now New Orleans. And so, listen, you hope. I know the Saints hope they hit it right with Tyler Shuck. I mean, that's kind of what it is. You get so spoiled with Drew Brees. You just think about it. All the years of mediocrity, and then
Never worried about the quarterback position.
you get a guy in 2006 because he fails a physical for the Dolphins. Let's be honest. He's going to the Dolphins, and it just goes to show you the NFL, and no one ever talks about it. The Chargers didn't want to bring Drew back. They drafted him in the second round because they drafted Phillip Rivers 3 years later because Drew wasn't the guy. And we want these quarterbacks to succeed right away. We don't give them any time. No one talks about it. The Chargers didn't want, no, we got our guy.
They always talk about the Dolphins, but they don't talk about
the Chargers.
Right.
And yeah, I understand he got hurt in the last game. But Phillip Rivers it wasn't like they drafted Rivers the next year. He was already there.
Right.
So... I think the big thing with the Saints and Nussmeier and them, I think we all know this. You have to have a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
The rule, everything has gone to that, especially the rules and how it's an offensive football league. That's kind of what it's boiled down to.
Yeah. Well, and they don't have any idea at this point. I mean, I'm assuming that they think Tyler Shuck's going to start because they burned a second-round pick on him.
Yeah, listen, it's a talented kid, and he's so well coached. Coming from the Brahms at Louisville, watching him, watching some college tape on him, especially leading up to the draft, his name started coming out. I love watching his feet and his foot. Okay, he's been coached. Like, you just knew that he comes from the Brahms, and they'll get you NFL.
How old were you when you started in the Super Bowl?
I was, well, it would have been 04, so I've been 29. I just turned 29.
So what's Shuck, 26, 27?
Yeah.
So he's an old rookie.
He's an old rookie who has been in many different places, probably really mature, but I just think he probably has a really good background of NFL ball. Because you can take Jackson Dart, what everybody's saying. He's going to need a year or so because what Lane does, that doesn't get you NFL ready, right?
Right.
Well, what he did at Louisville, you're going to get more NFL ready, just how they run their system.
What do you think about Garrett Nussmeier?
A huge fan of him. I don't know him, know his mom and dad well. I've met his sister and the younger brother before. I respect him. Let me tell you why. He could have left. I just think he did it the right way. He signed there. You played behind Jaden Daniels, who was, he might be all right? He just might be okay. But he never, anybody ever talked about him leaving? No, he was staying. Like, he did it the right way. And so I just think you're seeing that same movie again with Archie Manning. Like, he was never leaving. Like, that's what the Mannings, I think, and Nuss is the same way. I think he's biding his time. He played really well last year, and I think you'll see a different player this year. Talented football player, really strong arm, gifted. He can make plays, but I'm anxious to see the next step. Whereas he'll tell you he made some bonehead plays last year, wanting to do too much. Yeah, you're supposed to want to do too much. I mean, like, that's, learn. He's still a baby.
Right.
Not
only is he's coming off the heels of the two greatest quarterbacks that have ever played there. Because right when he came in,
Correct.
Burrow had come in, was there 2 years before.
Sure.
And then Jaden Daniels, we didn't know anything about this guy. And he comes over and then,
Well, just
wow.
think about it. So Joe Burrow going into his senior year, projected as what, 3rd or 4th round pick. I had a phone call the summer of Joe's going into his senior year from Mr. Jimmy Burrow, his dad, to talk about some agents. He said, Jake, we're projected 3rd, 4th round, pick. Yeah, think about it. And then what was Jaden projected last year? Maybe a high 2nd going into the season? Into his senior year.
I remember people being disappointed he was coming back for his senior year.
Correct.
It was time to play Garrett or, we're going to lose Walker Howard. There were some people upset about that.
It's just, we don't give people time, and then that's why I guess I have so much respect for what Garrett Nussmeier's done. Just bide your time. This is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And when you played, you didn't have this, right?
Absolutely not. Very lucky we didn't have that.
Yeah. And some guys, okay, you can't have it both ways, okay? Fans.
Sure.
It's not why you play the game, but if there's no fans in the stands, it's not nearly as gratifying, right? No cheers, no. But the people that go after people on social media and tell some guy he sucks or whatever, and it may not even be his fault or whatever. I mean, how do you think, if you were quarterback in modern time, how would you not read that?
That'd be hard. And I wasn't one. So I'll give you a great story. So when I was in Carolina, 2004, my first year is 03, right? Year 7 for me in the league. So I'd seen a decent amount. We go to the Super Bowl. I'm the greatest thing they've ever seen in Charlotte. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that dumb.
Too much credit, too much blame. Yeah.
So the next year, we have 4 out of 5 new offensive linemen. We lost both our starting running backs. We lost our best, Steve Smith, our best offensive player, week 1. Like, we don't know who we are as a team. We're 1-7. So I remember it was in October. So like 1-4, 1-5, whatever it may be. I'd get up every morning. I'd go get the newspaper for my wife because the internet was a thing, but still the newspaper. Yeah. I'd take the dog out. I'd grab it. It was 5:30 in the morning. Get my cup of coffee and I'm out the door. Well, Saturday mornings we didn't have to be in till like 8:30 or 9. So I never forget. My mom and dad flew in on a Friday. So I was there the next morning. It was still 7. Everybody was up. I went and get the paper. Well, I could see the headline of the Charlotte Observer. Should Delhomme be benched? I didn't open it. Like we're 1-5, whatever. So sure enough, everybody's drinking their coffee. Nobody's saying a word. I could tell they are ticked. So I said, all right. I said, hey, I'm leaving. So I'll be back in a few hours. I said, you see how y'all all acting? And I pointed at my mom, my wife, my mom, my dad. See how y'all acting? I said, you better not be that way when I get back. I said, because this is what we signed up for. I said, I'm one of 32 in the world. I said, y'all loved them last year when they wrote good about me. I said, I'm just telling you. So sure enough, fast forward, we win 6 out of our last 8. I have a really good year that year. That same guy who wrote that article in December, the headline, Delhomme should be team's MVP. It's hard, and I get it. And then, if Nuss has one rough game, you're going to, he should have left. Why did he come back? I mean, it's hard. But listen, so many people would give up everything to be in his shoes, and I just want to see these kids like, yeah, you're going to get criticized, you're going to give a ton of credit, but I like to see that balance. If somebody can just say, take it, it is what it is. Eli Manning is the greatest example of anyone. He was in New York City. I mean, and Eli Manning just...
My photographer, a guy who works at our station named Darren DeQuano, he went there when the Saints beat the Giants like a drum, 2006.
Okay.
Sean Payton's first year and all that. And he said the Giants fans were calling him inbred and stupid hick and all this stuff. And he went on to win 2 Super Bowls with them a little bit later.
They booed it. We played them. You saw about 2006. We played there in January of 2006 in the playoffs. And I think it was 23-3. We destroyed them. And they were booing the Giants and booing. I mean, they're hosting a home playoff game, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. College booing, sometimes they say, well, we're not booing the quarterback. We're just booing the play calling, or we're booing the coach. There's some ambiguity to the booing sometimes, but I think most people agree at the end of the day it's not positive for the team, but now they're saying, well, they're not college kids anymore. They're pros. They're getting paid,
we're going
to boo them.
Yeah, they're getting paid a lot. Yeah, listen, we all know fans. We all know it's fanatic. I mean, and people, they're emotional. I mean, they love it. I mean, think about it, especially down here where we live in the South, right? Fridays, Saturdays.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at, the McAfee on Saturday morning, what he's done to game day. I mean, this is a religion. I mean, it's a religion now.
Yeah. You speak well. You're on the radio there now.
Correct.
Broadcasting. But how much of the Cajun, we can't understand them, that kind of stuff? Did you hear that from people?
I didn't hear that much. I was called their Carolina Cajun in Charlotte. And so, listen, when I was
call you Bobby Boucher sometime?
No. I had a tight end, Jermaine Wiggins, who was from East Boston, and he had the thickest Boston accent ever. And he was part of our Super Bowl run. And we were a ruthless locker room. And what I mean by that, it was no holds bar. And I think that's why we were just an edgy, tough group. And so he called me Bobby. It was just one of those. But and I'm going to be very honest. When I did interviews, especially when I first got there, I tried to talk a little slower because I was in Louisiana my whole life.
Yeah.
And then you slow down. And, I still have some of the accent. And doing the radio for Carolina, it might show up every now and then. But, it's I've never been told hey, you need to, slow down. Or things like that. It's been more or less, hey, we love hearing that accent come out when you get excited.
I remember sending out resume tapes, like even to Shreveport,
Okay.
and they were like, we got to do something about that accent of yours. And when I come home, I always joke, the T's turn into D's.
No doubt.
That over there,
Exactly. It's just... That's the way it is.
Hey, no problem. And you might eat and drink a little too much too when you come back to Lafayette around here. So we're here now. I asked your wife this. I said, "Are you the only girlfriend he ever had?" And well, you'd have to ask him that. So maybe there might have been one or two.
No, listen, we joke about it. My wife's 5 foot. I'm 6'2". We started dating. We were about the same height. So that's been my girlfriend for my whole life. Yeah. I was very, very lucky. Very lucky.
I bet. I mean, how many guys out there tell you, man? I mean, it's like, you found your first round draft pick when you were you 14, 15?
Man, we started going to school together in 7th grade. It was just kind of one of those deals, and we became really good friends. And but she's a huge credit to any success I had because I didn't have to work. didn't have to worry about the nightlife. Not worry about it.
Right.
Like that was, we went out. We had a good, fun time. But then we had kids. We had a family. I don't know. I never had to worry about the home life. And there's so many players, like Baker Mayfield was in Carolina for a year. And it's come out now. There was some family turmoil going on, some money and things like that. No one knew. But I never had to deal with that.
You were never tempted by the NFL lifestyle that a lot of these other guys fell into.
Sure.
And then when they stop playing, maybe the partner loses interest and moves on to the next. And, you had a great thing. You have a great thing.
Yeah,
so
it worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, you have 2 daughters.
Sure.
You did not have a son to play football.
Correct.
So you have one who's going to be a freshman at LSU.
Well, I have one that'll be a freshman at LSU coming up in the fall. So yeah, and I had an older one who she actually went to LSU for 1 year, then transferred back home, and she was one of those COVID freshmen. And she just hated it. She said, "Dad, I'm stuck in a dorm." It was one of those, and she did her college experience, and so she flew through college, graduated in 3 years. She's married, and she lives in Arkansas. Her and her husband live in Arkansas. So yeah, my youngest will be at LSU in the fall.
All right, a couple more things. Appreciate your time. So you are a person that can appreciate LSU and the Cajuns. Do we have just a minority that makes all the noise about this? Because they're not the same, right?
No.
It's not Auburn, Alabama.
No, listen.
In certain sports, baseball, softball,
There's a
yes.
flagship university in every state, right? Or whatever. But in Louisiana, there's always been a flagship university, and that's been LSU. I think we let loudmouths get in the way of normal people. Jack Marucci, the legendary, he and I had a talk one day. I went to one of LSU's practice. One of my dear friends, George Munoz, who was quarterback coach at LSU, and Burrow was there. He's now back at UL. And so I went to one of the practices on a Saturday morning. And so me and Marucci just started talking because he was at, Florida State. Mm-hmm. And then one of my best friends, who I played with in Carolina, was with him. And we just kind of, we just started talking about that. And where I live at in Breaux Bridge, it's easier for me to get to Baton Rouge than it is for me to get on the other side of Lafayette. I'm not kidding you. I mean, it's faster. It's funny. And you get those, people that, it is what it is. We're never going to please anybody.
Did you go to LSU games growing up?
I went to a couple early on, and then I was a Southland Conference. I traveled back because my brother played.
Okay.
Yeah, so my 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, I never went to LSU game because I'm traveling. I'm at McNeese watching my brother play or traveling. And then my junior and senior year, I got invited on recruiting trips to a couple of those games.
Yeah, because McNeese was packing that stadium with 16,000, 17,000, whatever. They were going to the playoffs a lot. As Bobby Keesler.
My brother's senior year was when Bobby Keesler came in. So, they were starting on that run.
Got you. And these days, so horses have always been big in your life, right?
I'm third generation. My grandfather was an old cattleman, old farmer who grew up on this land I'm living on now, and could only write his name. He spoke better French than English, but he was a self-made man, and so quarter horses or race horsing was a big thing growing up, or way back when. And I didn't grow up hunting, fishing, or golfing. I grew up in a barn, and that's my love. That was always my drug of choice.
Got you. This is your natural narcotic.
Correct.
So you raise horses, and so they go to races, and you're there attending, and all that.
Yep. That's that. Listen, that's my. We always had the race horses, right? But then football gave me an opportunity to expand on it. And so when I was finished playing, kind of expanded a little bit more. So it's my dad, my brother, and myself. My brother's 5 years older than me. And so we started we race thoroughbred race horses. And that's my love. That's my passion. I'm at the barn every morning unless I'm traveling to Charlotte for a game.
All right, pardon my ignorance. Is Evangeline Downs still open?
Still open. It's in Opelousas. It moved from Lafayette to Opelousas. So 4 tracks in Louisiana. Fairgrounds, Shreveport, Bossier City, which is Louisiana Downs, Evangeline Downs, and then Delta Downs on the Texas-Louisiana line on I-10.
Is your goal to be like in the Kentucky Derby?
I would love to be in the Derby, yes, but no. I am a member of our Louisiana Thoroughbred Breeders Association. I am a big proponent of Louisiana breds. So every horse I own that we race, I run in Louisiana. Every now and then we'll go out of state. I do keep some mares and babies in Kentucky that I sell up there to hopefully one day. But yeah, my main gig is racing in Louisiana.
Okay, got you.
I want to do it. I don't want to send it to somebody else. I'm not saying I won't, but like I'm at the barn every morning. I'm not playing 18 holes of golf. I mean, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, and then I heard Drew Brees talk about this when I retire. People of similar age of Drew like to hear him say stuff like, "My whole life's in front of me," but I mean, even if you're Tom Brady and you get out when you're 45, you got a lot of years ahead of you.
No
what am I going to do, right? A lot of people struggle with that when the cheers stop and no more packed stadiums and all that. So it's great that you've got some.
I've had some buddies that they've had, because you've lived by an itinerary since you were 14 years old, high school, college, pros, and those guys that play a long time, like.
Well, and then even for coaching too, like these rumblings about Saban, which I don't know are true or not, but I kind of wonder in my head, how long is he really going to call it quits for good, or is he going to come back? Or
well, think about it. If Pete Carroll has some success right away at 73 years old, I mean, like those questions are going to come up.
Yeah. All right. I'm sure somebody watching this would throw something at me if I don't ask you about the Cajuns. So Michael Desimo, I kind of talked to him about this. People can tell him, well, you had big shoes to fill, and he'd be like, well, duh, I was part of the big shoes, right? I mean, he was there with Billy Napier the whole time, so he knows what he was coming in off the heels of, and so I don't know if I'd call last year a bounce back season, but they win 10 games, and if they don't have their quarterback injuries.
Correct. Listen, Billy Napier, everybody knows he's at Florida. Our athletic director, Brian Maggart, hit a grand slam, not a home run, hit a grand slam when he hired Napier, right? So Billy comes in, and Billy will tell you he was an offensive coordinator at Clemson and got fired. He said, I just wasn't ready. I was too young. And then he went to coach rehab, which is in Alabama with Saban and that bunch. And, Billy kind of went along that route, and then we get him. He brings Rob Sale with him, former LSU lineman.
Yeah.
And so they come in, and Billy was fantastic. And you just know he's a genuine good person. Billy probably could have left after his third year here. He had other jobs, but everybody knew that. And he says, not the right fit. He goes, I'm not leaving just to leave. I'm not leaving Lafayette. And I never forget that last year, Levi Lewis, Baton Rouge quarterback, phenomenal quarterback for the Cajuns. We're rolling along, and we had 11 or 12 wins that season, win the Sun Belt, and everybody knew Billy was leaving. I mean, you just knew. And I never forget Allie, his wife. I saw her at a flag football game. I went and watched my nephew play, and she's out there with one on her lap doing homework, another one sitting on the side of her, and the son playing. And I congratulated her, and I remember her looking at me, and she was like, we just don't want to leave Lafayette. She goes, but we know we have to. I said, yeah. I said, but listen, we thank y'all for what y'all did. So Dez gets this job, and that's the first year of the portal. He gets the job. We have 4 or 5 draft picks, legitimate draft picks that are great football players, and then we lose 3 to LSU, 2 to LSU, 3 to Florida, 1 to TCU starters and guys that went to LSU and played extremely well. Went to Florida, second round pick and things like that. So. And a couple of years of mediocrity, trying to find our way, a ton of quarterback injuries, and then last year, hosting the Sun Belt Conference game, and you're playing your backup quarterback because your starter breaks a collarbone a couple of weeks earlier, and then you lose that fifth-year senior. So Desmo has done a fantastic job. Looking forward to how do we navigate the waters? I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows that yet. How do you navigate these waters for a school that's in the Sun Belt? I love that Louisiana Tech's now in the Sun Belt. I love that. I think there's something about these regional type rivalries. I think it's great, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Dez does. And we'll see. It'll be a quarterback battle, and it's going to be a fairly local boy, whoever gets the job, be it Walker Howard out of Lafayette, Daniel Beal out of Catholic of Baton Rouge, or Lunch Winfield out of Letcher. So
You talked about Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah.
So now the Walker Howard kind of the
Right.
same thing. You knew Jamie pretty well.
Jamie was a year older than me, went to St. Thomas More. Jamie and I have been knowing each other since high school, and we're dear friends.
Yeah. So for a sportscaster like me, it's convenient to just write up, hey, local kid comes home, he's going to take it over, and, have his 2 years. He does appear to be the favorite to win it, but we'll see. And like we talked about, Daniel Beal, a very talented kid who's likely to have a great career. I mean, even if Walker starts a couple of years or a year and a half or whatever the case, Beal will be there.
Listen, you don't know how it's going to play out with the injuries, right? But, I've gotten to know the Beal kid a little bit. You want to talk about a gem of a person. I've got to know him away from football a little bit, just by sheer nature of being connected with the program. And, he's a kid that I'll pull for. So, we can't go wrong. We'll get it right.
Awesome. And the stadium has been
redone. It's needed to be redone for a long time. And people love the suite life and the club level life and things like that, so to speak. And certainly that was not present there. But I think it looks really good. I think better viewing, I guess you could say, and a little closer to the field, the club level. It looks very, very nice. Very excited about that.
well, it's still just when my brain when I still missed. I don't know if I'm going to miss it. That ugly upper deck. It's no longer there.
It's no longer there anymore. But I certainly great memories, right? But I think you're right. It was time for a face-off.
Yeah. Okay. And well, the hill that I sat on the night that you beat A&M, those are bleachers now. They used to be.
Both sides are grassy hills. One of them they kind of put some bleachers in. So. We still have one of the grassy hill areas, which when my kids were younger, it worked out perfect. When I retired, my kids were young, and there was something about sitting on the grass and maybe partaking in a beverage or two, and letting the kids kind of roll up and down the hill. Everybody went with their kids there. It was fun.
Well, Jake lives out here in the country, so to speak. He's not a river rancher. But thanks so much for having us today, man. Great catching up with you and seeing you. And thanks for stopping by Jacques Talk. We'll see you later.